Hi there, Bodhipaksha again. I have a question here that came in from Dharmashuri, who teaches at Nagaloka Buddhist Center in Portland, Maine. And the question is actually on behalf of one of the members of her Sangha there, her spiritual community. And, excuse me, the point is basically how other members of the spiritual community there relate to that person, because this particular Sangha member eats meat. And she's saying, well, because I eat meat, does that mean I'm not fully capable of becoming a compassionate human being? This person feels that they're being judged by some of the vegetarian members of the Sangha. And Dharmashuri is asking what are ways that she can support this person in becoming a vegetarian. And she points out this is a very sensitive issue. So there's quite a few points in there. First one, doesn't mean that if somebody eats meat that they're not fully capable of becoming a compassionate human being. I wouldn't exactly say that. It's possible to be a very, very compassionate human being and to eat meat. Somebody could be compassionate in so many different ways in their lives, to other human beings, to animals, and generally be a very, very compassionate human being. At the same time, eating meat involves killing animals. So if you're deciding that if you want to be a compassionate person and you're still eating meat, I think there's a certain blind spot there. It's like, well, I care, but do I care enough not to have animals killed for me? That for me is the point. I wouldn't say that somebody who eats meat is not a compassionate person, but I think there's definitely something to work on there. On the other hand, just because somebody doesn't eat meat, it doesn't mean that they're necessarily very compassionate overall at all. So you could have one person who eats meat who's very, very compassionate in general, and you could have somebody who doesn't eat meat who's not really very compassionate. But there's still that issue of, what are you prepared to do in order to enact compassion in your life? Are you prepared to go through the difficulty, and it is difficult for some people, of giving up the habit of eating meat? So this person's feeling judged by some of the vegetarian members of the Sangha, of the spiritual community. And that's a shame. I don't know whether that judging is actually happening or whether this is just a perception, because sometimes people feel guilty or uneasy when they're doing something that they know that other people don't do. But it's quite possible that this person is being judged, and that would be a shame. I think those of us who are vegetarian should remember that in the case of the vast majority of us, there was a time when we weren't vegetarian. There was a time when we probably didn't care, didn't want to know. Maybe, in my case, I used to, argue with my sister. I used to be quite sarcastic about her being vegetarian. And I kind of regret that now, obviously. There was probably a time when we, thought that vegetarianism was a good thing, but it was difficult for us to do. There was a strong habit there. For some people, they've tried to be vegetarian and they found that they've occasionally slipped from that. So I think it behooves all of us who are vegetarian to remember that it's not necessarily an easy thing, and that we've been there ourselves. It's very easy, I think, to say, well, I'm a vegetarian, so now I'm perfect, and anyone who eats meat is obviously not really doing it. They're not really a Buddhist. I think that would be most unhelpful. So, if the point of being vegetarian is to practice compassion, then I think we need to be compassionate towards people who eat meat. That doesn't mean ignoring the issue. I think we should keep in our teachings and discussions in Buddhist centres. I think we should keep reminding people that, of why we're a vegetarian, why that's important to us. why it can be, or how it can be an important part of Buddhist practice. Just even simple things like, when we're having gatherings and food is being brought, just reminding people to bring vegetarian food. I think those kind of things are just a way of engaging with the topic. And how to support somebody in working towards being a vegetarian? Well, inspiring by example. Not giving somebody a hard time about it. I think you're just likely to drive people away if you give people a hard time about being vegetarian, not being vegetarian, or if you're trying to get somebody to do what you want to do by being unpleasant to them. I think that's just quite unacceptable. So keep engaging. Bear in mind that it can take a while for people to change. It certainly did for me. I had several months of being part of a Buddhist Sangha before finally the penny dropped for me. And if I hadn't visited a slaughterhouse, see my earlier video for details about that, it might have taken me quite a long time, I think, to have broken through the resistance to changing my dietary habits. So, compassion all around.